The imperial selection opens with a rule that turns the palace into a proving ground. Chosen knights, mages, and scholars must teach the emperor what they know. Deculein arrives under formal escort, not as a soldier, but as a professor pulled directly into an imperial test. The court explains that the head professor position in the university magic tower is not enough. To stand near the emperor, Deculein must solve a palace problem created by Archmage George.
The emperor chose this role. I do not remember any development like this.
He does not reject the summons, because a quest tied to the imperial family is exactly the kind of event that can bring impossible rewards or fatal attention.
If the emperor is watching me, I may be able to understand why Sophine keeps her eye on this body.
The court asks whether he will accept the challenge, and Deculein answers with the confidence expected from a Deculein noble.
I shall accept the challenge.
A palace official hands over the written problem and makes the test sound deceptively simple. Take the paper, solve it, and leave. The watching mages expect him to agonize over it for days, because George himself declared the question difficult, and the candidates must solve it to qualify as instructors. Their confidence makes Deculein immediate answer feel less like luck and more like a public disruption of the palace order. Blue magic rises through the chamber as Deculein reads, and the room realizes that he is not merely pretending to understand the assignment. Before anyone can settle into the performance, Deculein finishes the solution and forces the court to recognize him as George, mage of the imperial court. George says a same-day answer would already be considered fast, but Deculein has done it almost immediately. The guards can barely process it. What was supposed to be a serious trial has turned into a 5-minute demonstration.
It was far from an easy problem. I was only able to solve it because I have been studying rune language lately.
The answer sounds modest, but the result is still ridiculous. Deculein has solved an ancient script problem that was supposed to filter the candidates.
I was the one who refined the rune language font as a game designer.
His old developer memories turn the impossible test into something familiar, and a problem from Guntia suddenly becomes trivial to him. The palace invitation confirms that Deculein has qualified for the examination, giving him a new position in a test he never expected to join. Deculein accepts the letter with formal thanks, leaving the court with nothing to challenge about the result itself. After he leaves, the officials quietly agree that solving the problem in 5 minutes makes further debate pointless. Still, one palace figure wants to observe him longer, especially because he supported the mage named Luina over Deculein in a previous matter. The objection does not survive the evidence. Another mage needed hours, while Deculein finished before the room could breathe. When rumors are raised, the red-haired commander shuts them down and says she will trust what she sees with her own eyes. The decision is made. Deculein will serve as the instructional mage, and the knight selection must continue under that condition. Attention then shifts to the injured candidate Isaac, whose medical leave creates an opening that has to be filled. A suitable candidate comes to mind, and the commander smiles as she names Chiron. At the Freyden training ground, Julie pushes herself hard enough that her subordinates worry she may collapse before the test even begins. She is not simply practicing, she is trying to outrun grief, duty, and the empty place Veron left behind. The knights know that news of Veron's body being found is still eating at their captain, but with the search difficult, they can only watch her train. An imperial summons names Julie von Dia Frieden and grants her the honor of competing with other selected swordsmen for the emperor. The announcement makes the exam sound glorious: pass the test, prove her ability, and become an instructional knight for the imperial court.
Yes.
Julie sets off through the snow, carrying both the honor of Freyden and the grief she has not allowed herself to show. When she reaches the lodging site, the other senior candidates greet her with casual familiarity and a little too much curiosity. Their relaxed tone contrasts with Julie, who arrives carrying a formal summons and an emotional weight the others cannot fully see. They say they expected her to be chosen, and the conversation quickly turns toward what kind of exam awaits them. Gwyn, a sacred star knight, admits she is not prepared because she only learned about the selection the day before. Raffle, the knight of vigor, says the obvious: all of them have come for the same thing. The group assumes the exam is nearly starting and wonders who will replace the injured vice captain Isaac. That question matters because the replacement will shape the entire selection, and no one in the room imagines the answer could be Deculein. Julie's entire plan changes when Deculein enters the room because the exam is no longer only about imperial honor.
I am the acting examiner for the instructional knight selection.
Julie stares at him, unable to hide the question in her face. A mage has been made examiner for a knight examination.
A mage came as the examiner for a night examination. How did this happen?
Julie cannot tell what Deculein is plotting this time, but his presence turns a simple imperial test into something personal. Deculain's entrance silences the room because every candidate expected a night examiner and Julie is forced to face the man she least wanted here. The candidates protest immediately, asking whether he understands a night duty and how a mage dares judge them.
I am of course not a knight, but a mage, so I will evaluate according to the manual. I have already been selected as the instructional mage for the palace. I am qualified.
When the candidates ask whether the exam will be fair, Deculein answers with procedure, not reassurance. The emperor will make the final decision.
The assessment will begin tomorrow, so rest for today.
As he leaves, the candidates mutter that Her Majesty will have the last say, but Julie already understands something colder. The fairness they want and the fairness Deculein intends are not the same thing because he has already chosen her as the person who must be stopped.
This selection exam was unfair from the start. It will not be fair the way they expect it to be because I intend to fail Julie. I will fail Julie.
That night, Deculein watches from the lodging while the knights begin sparring outside almost as soon as they see one another. His reason for accepting the outrageous role is not pride, it is Julie and the thing waiting beneath the palace.
That monster is in the palace basement.
One of Deculein's death variables is the Freydin Abyss Mirror, a threat Julie must not encounter inside the palace. In the root logic he remembers, that mirror is not an ordinary artifact. It is a fatal condition tied directly to her and the Freydin Abyss. If Julie enters before the mirror is destroyed, the root can turn deadly, so Deculein plans to stop her through the exam itself. Julie still trains like a blade thrown against winter, unaware that Deculein is trying to keep her away from a danger she cannot yet see. At dawn, Deculein announces the first test: evaluate observation, persistence, and the ability to retrieve a rare magical fruit.
This exam location has rare fruits of magical power. I will assign each of you one fruit, and you must bring it back.
The condition is strict. They must return the exact item undamaged, because even a small flaw will invalidate the result. On paper, it sounds like a test of care, but in practice it lets Deculein judge patience, observation, root awareness, and surrender all at once.
Also, I will not move from this seat. Any objections?
No one objects, so Deculein gives them 24 hours and begins the test without moving from the warm room. Julie charges into a mountain blizzard with the discipline of a knight, searching for the ice flower assigned to her.
I need to find the ice flower.
The ice flower is a transparent bloom that grows only on a cliff face in a snowy mountain, hard to harvest and quick to wither. It is beautiful enough to tempt a rushed hand, fragile enough to punish a careless one, and cold enough to drain a weakened body.
It is not completely impossible. But did Deculein really come here because of Her Majesty orders?
Julie finds the flower and brings it back, believing she has completed the mission with the exact item in hand. She returns to Deculein and presents the flower, but his first reaction is not praise.
It is damaged. I clearly said that it must not be damaged.
Julie is stunned, because the flower looked perfect when she found it. The rejection cuts deeper than a normal failed task, since she has risked the mountain and returned with what she believed was proof of her endurance.
I was careless. I should have looked more carefully before I gave it to him. I will bring another one.
She returns to the mountain and finds another ice flower, exhausted but relieved that she can still repair the mistake. Another candidate struggles through the same storm, proving the task is brutal even before Deculein's judgment enters it. When Julie returns again, the flower is once more damaged, and the room no longer knows whether the flaw is real, impossible, or deliberate. The repeated result makes Deculein look cruel, but it also forces Julie to ask what changes between the mountain and the villa. Gwyn openly questions whether it is really Julie's fault, but Deculein does not soften the result.
Meals are not provided. You can eat after you have completed your mission or when you have given up. Are you going to give up?
No, I will bring another one. The blizzard is getting stronger. I am enduring the cold with my outerwear, but I am reaching my limit.
The mountain punishes her body, and every failed return eats away at her strength. Her pride will not let her stop, yet her body is already paying the cost of a test designed to make persistence dangerous. She collapses against the doorway, barely able to stand, and still tries to continue.
There is no way.
The crack is small but undeniable. The petal has split again, even though Julie checked it outside the villa.
It was not damaged when I checked it outside the villa. Why is it always damaged?
Deculein stands over her with the same calm expression, refusing to give the answer that would let her stop suffering. If he explains the trick too soon, she learns nothing. If he waits too long, he risks breaking the person he is trying to keep alive.
I will do one last trip. Did you figure it out, Julie?
But even as she forces herself back into the snow, Deculein concludes that she will still not pass this test. Morning rises over the snowy villa while the other candidates wait to see whether Julie can return before time runs out. Inside, they wonder whether she can pass at all, because the clock is nearly finished and Deculein has not moved. Julie finally returns with another ice flower and demands that the selector inspect it.
Please come out. This time it will not be defective. We were too stupid until now. The ice flower was damaged by the fireplace. But this is the answer, and if I keep the cold around it until he inspects it, he will have no reason to reject me.
No. I clearly said I would not move a single step from this spot, and yet you gave me a chance to raise an objection.
That is indeed my fault.
Julie accepts the fault, but refuses to stop there. She will not surrender just because Deculein has found another rule to close around her.
But I will not give up here.
She pours her mana into the ice flower, trying to protect it long enough to overcome both the blizzard and Deculein's impossible condition. It is a knight answer to a mage problem. Protect the target with all the strength she has left, even if the method hurts her. The effort tears through her. The candidates inside can feel that something is wrong, even before the villa itself begins to freeze. Julie covers the entire villa with mana in an instant, producing a beautiful result that still comes at a dangerous cost.
Now it should work.
It is defective. Ice flowers are affected by mana too. What a pointless effort.
Deculein eliminates Julie on the spot, and she collapses before she can argue any further. The exam is over for her. Her body temperature has dropped so low that she needs urgent rest. The other candidates call the exam unfair, and even Deculein quietly admits that something about Julie's mana is strange.
I saw Julie's mana for the first time today. There was something strange.
Sharp eyesight identifies the abnormal status as mana damage, a wound in the inner core rather than ordinary fatigue. That matters because Julie has been fighting as if discipline alone can solve the test, while her own mana foundation is already injured.
Wounds to the inner core are not common. It is probably from a severe life-threatening injury.
That discovery changes the meaning of the test. Julie did not simply fail because she lacked talent. Something old is still inside her. The candidates compare what they know, and one of them mentions escort duty with Julie and Merrick.
Do not tell me the aftermath from that is still lingering. What is he talking about? Escort duty.
Rayful says Julie consciously limited her mana and never let it burst out, a clue Deculein never had in the original stories he remembered. At that point, the world no longer matches the route cleanly, and Julie's private damage may explain why her choices keep bending around pain. Now the question turns on Deculein himself. For the injured Julie, what is he? Deculein orders the candidates back to their rooms, but Julie's confrontation is not over. Afterward, the second exam will resume only once the first eliminated candidate leaves, making Julie's departure unavoidable.
It is regrettable, Julie.
No. As you said, that was the test itself. It was my oversight.
I should have checked thoroughly when I received the task.
Before I see you off, there is one thing I want to ask, either as a selector duty or as someone tied to you. Tell me that promise again with your own mouth. I just want to hear it from you once more.
The promise was broken long ago and Julie still hates him for it. Yet now Deculein is holding her back because he wants to say something, not as the old villain who hurt her, but as the man trapped inside that old name.
Am I trying to make excuses for the villain whose body I now carry?
It has been half a year already.
Where should I start?
At that time, I received a letter from the Luna family members. The letter detailed the evil deeds you had committed. I demanded an explanation from you about whether the letter was true, but you burned it right there.
That moment became decisive for Julie. It was one of the reasons she moved to annul their marriage.
As you say, forgive me.
Did you promise to reveal the truth and apologize? Why ask about that now? I was the one at fault. Back then, it was clearly my fault. However, that research is still ongoing. If there is profit, it will be shared, and I will help revive his family. On the day this research is announced, I can apologize to him too.
Julie asks why he did not say that back then, and Deculein can only answer from the painful distance between old Deculein and the man he is now. It is not a clean excuse, but it is the closest truth he can safely offer without exposing the impossible story behind him.
Excuse it by saying the me from back then is different from the me now. Julie, from now on, I will try not to love you. Let us go our separate ways from now on. I will even work on my feelings so you are not burdened.
Someday it will happen.
As Deculein leaves, Julie tells him he worked hard and asks him to be careful on the way back, a quiet kindness neither of them expected. After everything, her farewell is not forgiveness, but it is no longer pure hatred either. Left alone, Julie repeats that she will try not to love him, but the question remains, is Deculein truly changing? From the window, Deculein watches her leave and realizes even his strong mental fortitude may not be enough to cut off his feelings for Julie. 4 days later, the preliminary evaluations are complete, and Deculein reviews the candidates before the final imperial decision.
I painstakingly selected and recommended Raphael, but they rejected all 4, even Julie as well.
The teaching mage position naturally comes back to Deculein, which means he will stand beside a rival he knows too well. This is not just administrative work, it forces old academic politics, noble pressure, and personal resentment into the emperor's court. At the imperial palace, Deculein is called by name and walks into the formal selection hall. The second name called is Luina von Schrodt-McQueen, and Deculein immediately recognizes the exhaustion ahead.
To think I have become a teaching mage alongside her.
Luina is someone who could never have good feelings toward Deculein, but now the two of them must share imperial work.
So I see him again here.
The chapter turns back a few years, to the professor promotion evaluations where Luina and Deculein first competed directly. The head professor promotion came down to Luina and Deculein, while others politely wished both candidates well. Luina believed she would win because she had better overall research achievements, even against Deculein's family influence. From her point of view, support from the professors should have outweighed Deculein's name, and the promotion looked like the one chance her work had earned.
I was receiving more support from professors than Deculein. That is what I believed. The head professor position at the University Magic Tower would be mine.
But an urgent disaster interrupts the evaluation. The young master of Luina's family has been seriously injured. Luina rushes after the messenger, confused by the panic spreading through the estate. The report is devastating. Their businesses are collapsing, partners have terminated contracts, bandits have invaded, and the family young lady has had an accident. Each disaster arrives too neatly to feel natural, and Luina immediately understands whose shadow is covering her family. The answer becomes obvious to Luina. Misfortune keeps striking the family after her father lost his mana from a serious injury.
Deculein. Niva wadi Oltheophoriomensik Taku, an evil like Deculein, or the family will never recover.
Her father understands how important the position is to her, but the family is collapsing too quickly for pride to save them. If she keeps fighting Deculein for the promotion, the house may lose more than reputation. He asks her to give it up for the family, and Luina realizes by the time she looks back, everything is already falling apart.
I had no choice but to give up. Our family did not have the power to stand against Deculein's grasp.
She tries to reach Deculein just once, begging the guards to let her speak before she loses everything. The rain, the locked gate, and the guards all turn her desperation into a public humiliation before Deculein even appears.
Please,
Luina, what is all this commotion in front of someone else's house?
I will give up, so please just stop now. Stop what exactly? I have no idea what you are talking about.
I thought you came to apologize, seeing as you came to see me so suddenly, but apparently not. Have the McQueens been receiving support from the Deculein since long ago? You are a family that would have perished without us, yet you act ungratefully. Naturally, you should apologize.
The words hit Luina harder than the rain. They are cruel beyond anything she imagined hearing from him, because he turns her family dependence into proof that she should kneel instead of asking for mercy. She thinks that giving up her dream will end the nightmare, but Deculein demands an apology from someone whose life is already near ruin because of him. The apology is not reconciliation, it is the price he makes her pay for survival.
Eli, Chikisti. Where you li hoi sizek, metulios, ne yet mayagi militini ear, net, ace, ne youth, hayading sus whole neo.
How lowly and pathetic.
To old Deculein, the sight of a noble from a fallen family crawling before him was disgusting rather than pitiful. That memory explains why Luina does not merely dislike him in the present, she carries a wound built from fear, shame, and forced surrender.
Get lost. If you want your family to recover, never show that face of yours before me again.
Luina drops to her knees in the rain, carrying a humiliation she has never forgotten.
I have not forgotten. I will never lose again. I will repay that humiliation several times over.
The next day, rumors spread that Duke Luina has gone missing without a trace. Students and nobles whisper whether Professor Deculein caused it, and the palace corridors begin filling with suspicion. The same name that once crushed Luina's family now returns as the first answer people reach for when Luina vanishes. The final whisper names Luina's disappearance directly, turning old humiliation into a fresh imperial mystery. Deculein stands at the edge of the rumor storm, aware that the missing Luina problem now points back toward him.